December 18, 2022, Lusail Stadium, Qatar, the World Cup final. More than 1.5 billion people watching the same screen. Messi and Mbappe trading goals until Argentina and France are locked at 2-2. The entire planet is holding its breath. At exactly the same moment, another world is running at full speed. No broadcast, no crowd, no trophy waiting at the end of it. Inside a server room in London, odds refresh every second. Inside an unmarked office tower in Manila, dozens of traders sit watching hundreds of screens. In Dubai, in Macau, in Lagos, and on servers scattered across the far corners of the internet, millions of people are placing bets at a furious pace. Some are staking a paycheck. Some have mortgaged a house. Some have borrowed money they will never be able to pay back. In those 90 minutes, billions of dollars move silently around the globe. And according to estimates from GCI, total global wagers during the 2026 World Cup will reach $593 billion to 69% of it, roughly $409 billion, flowing through unregulated, underground markets. The people making the real money aren't on the pitch. Most of them have replayed a professional match. Some of them probably didn't even watch the game. They're just sitting in front of a screen, watching the numbers move, waiting for the rest of the world to place its bets. Welcome to the other side of football. There are no champions here, only winners. And the winners are never the ones who bet. The World Cup happens once every 4 years. For fans, it's a global celebration. For players, it's the dream of a lifetime. For nations, it's a stage for pride and identity. But for another group of people entirely, what they see isn't goals or trophies. What they see is cash flow. Advertisers pour in massive budgets. Sponsors fight over every inch of billboard space. Broadcast rights keep smashing records. Football, as an industry, generates hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And that's just the part happening in plain sight. Outside the spotlight, there's a second system running almost in perfect sync. No official sponsors, no brand campaigns, no trophy ceremony. It doesn't even have a fixed address. It runs on anonymous accounts and cross-border payments, wiring together gamblers scattered across the planet. The moment the referee blows the opening whistle, this second system kicks into gear. Some people assume betting on football is simple. Pick a winner, wait, and see. In reality, modern football betting can price almost anything that happens on the pitch. Which team scores first? Whether there's a penalty in the first half? Who gets the first yellow card? Whether the total number of corners is odd or even? How many minutes of stoppage time get added? Even which team wins the next throw-in? A single 90-minute match can be sliced into hundreds of separate betting markets. And every single one of those markets is its own channel for moving money. During major tournaments, the World Cup, the Euros, the Champions League final, legal betting markets around the world see a massive spike in volume. But sitting alongside those legal markets is something far bigger, a sprawling underground network of illegal football betting. It stretches across borders and currencies. Sometimes the money moves as cash. Sometimes it moves as crypto. More often, it hides behind messaging apps, private websites, and layers of agents. What's genuinely shocking isn't that this money exists. It's how naturally it moves. For most people, placing a bet takes seconds. Open the app, tap a score, type in an amount, kickoff. The whole process is easier than ordering takeout. But behind every single bet, somebody has to take the other side of that wager, price the risk, and absorb the exposure. And somebody has to make sure the whole system stays profitable, no matter what happens on the field. That's the role of the house. And the people who actually run this business successfully never look like the guys in the movies, hunched over in some dim basement. Today, the house might be a publicly traded, fully licensed betting company. It might be an offshore website registered on some island you've never heard of. It might just be an agent hiding behind a chat app. They compete with each other. They cooperate with each other. Together, they form one enormous network that spans the entire globe. Inside that network, football stops being a game. It becomes a financial product. Before kickoff, the odds are already shifting. During the match, the lines adjust in real time. Every goal, every foul, every yellow card gets reflected in the numbers instantly. Fans see a scoreline. Bookmakers see a chart. And that's exactly why football, more than any other sport on earth, is built for gambling. It's slow. Scores stay low. A single penalty, one red card, even a lucky corner kick can flip the entire outcome. That uncertainty is precisely the raw material gambling needs. When a single match can be broken into hundreds of individual bets, and billions of dollars are riding on those tiny details, someone, somewhere, starts asking a much darker question. What if those details could be controlled? What if the real money isn't in predicting the game? It's in deciding it. Because the moment that happens, football stops being a sport. It becomes a business worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And that's exactly where football's darkest story begins. To most people, sports betting looks fair. You place a bet. You wait. The game ends. Guess right, you win. Guess wrong, you lose. It sounds like a simple game of luck. But the truth is, the moment a bettor steps in, they've already entered a contest they were never really built to win. Because what they're actually up against isn't a football match. It's a system, engineered through decades of mathematics, behavioral psychology, and risk management. What the house is actually selling was never the outcome of a game. It's selling probability. Most people who bet for the first time believe they're predicting a match. Will Argentina win? How's France looking this week? Will Messi score? These questions feel like they decide who wins and loses. But for the house, none of that is really the point. What actually matters is, how many people believe Argentina is going to win? Odds don't reflect the outcome of a match. Odds reflect betting behavior. If more and more money piles onto one side, the house adjusts the odds. Not because anything changed on the pitch, but because the money shifted. The goal is simple. Keep the risk balanced no matter who ends up winning. That's why odds keep moving right up until kickoff. Sometimes it's an injury report, a rumor on social media, even a weather forecast that shakes the line. But most of the time, what's actually moving the odds isn't the news. It's the money. For the house, the match only lasts 90 minutes. But the betting itself is a data war that plays out over days, sometimes weeks. Every minute, they're running the numbers. Where there's too much money, where there's too little, where they need to pull in new bettors, where they need to cut their exposure. Today, the big betting companies don't run on gut instinct. They run on algorithms. Every single bet becomes a new data point. Millions of historical matches, player form, weather, referee tendencies, injury history, bet sizes, timing. All of it feeds into a model, and the model spits out a new price. The point was never to predict the future. The point is to keep the entire market in balance, while keeping the house permanently ahead. A well-run house doesn't actually want every bettor to lose. What they want is for bettors to win just often enough to keep playing. There's an old saying in the gambling industry: the best customer isn't the one who always loses. It's the one who wins occasionally. That first win floods the brain with dopamine. It creates the illusion of having cracked the code. And that illusion is exactly what pushes people to bet bigger and take on more risk. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement. Slot machines run on it. Video games run on it. Sports betting runs on it too, because the payout isn't guaranteed every time. the next win feels even more irresistible. You can win 5 times in a row, 10 times in a row even. But as long as you keep playing, the house keeps profiting. The house isn't afraid of a winner. What the house is actually afraid of is a winner who walks away. Which means the real question was never, who's going to win this match? It's who designed this game in the first place. Because once a system can extract steady, reliable profit from every single match, it eventually stumbles onto a much more dangerous temptation. If you can control the odds, can you control the game itself? For underground betting syndicates, the most profitable business was never taking bets. It's making sure the match goes exactly the way they need it to go. And that's the exact point where football tips over into darkness. Vietnam. Nobody's watching this match. No star players. No broadcast. Fewer than 200 people scattered across the stands. None of them know that the result of this game was decided days before kickoff. The referee blows the whistle like always. Players run, pass, take their shots. Everything looks completely normal. Nobody watching knows that several of these players have already been paid far more than their annual salary. They don't need to lose. They don't even need to make it obvious. One careless pass, thrown a beat too slow. One defensive step, taken half a second late. One save that should have been made, and wasn't. Football is a game built on chance. And that's exactly why the best executed fixes never look like the movies. They look like an ordinary match. The man behind this particular fix is named Wilson Raj Perumal.
When you were watching games when you were younger, how did you feel when you were watching football and the spectacle that you were enjoying?
He was never a player, never a coach, never a referee. He never played a single professional match in his life. And yet, over the following 2 decades, he would become one of the most notorious match fixers in the history of the sport. According to law enforcement records across multiple countries, and his own published memoir, his operation stretched across Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America, feeding for years off the underground betting markets he helped build. In his memoir, he wrote a line that says almost everything you need to know. It's much easier to fix a match than to predict one. That single sentence explains the entire logic of the match-fixing industry. And out of that logic, an entire industry was born. Someone scouts the targets. Someone reaches out to the players. Someone gets to the referees. And someone places the bets, spread out across the globe. Long before kickoff, the money is already moving. The match itself is just the final step. Most people assume fixing happens at the World Cup, under the brightest lights. The truth is the exact opposite. The matches that actually get fixed are almost never the ones under the spotlight. They're the ones nobody's watching. A second division match in Eastern Europe, a qualifier for the African Cup of Nations, a youth-friendly in South America. Barely any TV coverage, barely any press, but the betting markets never miss a single one of them. For a criminal syndicate, that's the perfect target. Less attention means less risk, which means more profit. And there's something else. A lot of the players in these leagues aren't wealthy at all. A superstar in Europe's top leagues can earn hundreds of thousands of euros in a single week. Meanwhile, in some lower division leagues, players are working second jobs just to survive, taking home a few $100s a month. Interpol has repeatedly pointed out that criminal networks deliberately target leagues with lower salaries and weaker oversight. Environments where players are far more vulnerable to financial temptation and outright coercion. Match fixing isn't always driven by greed. Very often, it starts with poverty. The most sophisticated fixing operations don't even bother trying to control the final score. That's far too easy to catch. What they go after are the small, invisible details. And that's exactly what makes modern match fixing so dangerous. It doesn't have to change who lifts the trophy. It only has to change one moment. And one moment is all it takes. According to a report from Starlizard Integrity Services, out of 65,441 football matches monitored worldwide in 2024, 167 showed signs of potential manipulation, including matches in European competitions, World Cup qualifiers, and other international fixtures. The syndicate runs the operation. Couriers move the cash, betting agents place the wagers, and the profits flow through a maze of accounts, cash channels, and underground financial networks scattered across different countries. Football becomes one complete criminal supply chain. Wilson Raj Perumal was eventually arrested, questioned, and made parts of his operation public. But he kept coming back to one point. Catching one fixer doesn't kill the industry. The real problem was never one man. It's the market. As long as there's someone willing to place a bet, and a match somewhere for them to bet on, there will always be someone looking for a way to influence the outcome. And once a sport can be bought and sold, what's actually being sold isn't just the match anymore.
City that's, would say, football crazy. Well, everything.
The legendary British manager Bill Shankly once said something that's been quoted for generations.
Somebody said the football's a matter of life and death to you. I said, listen, it's more important than that.
Decades later, fans still repeat that line. It captures everything football represents: the passion, the glory, the near-religious devotion. Football was never just 90 minutes. It carries a city's identity, a nation's pride, a family's shared memory. It's the thing that gets strangers hugging in a bar, and gets an entire country pouring into the streets at midnight. It might be the one sport on earth capable of generating that much raw, collective emotion. And that's exactly why it became the most valuable sport on the planet. The moment something becomes that valuable, someone, somewhere, is going to try to exploit it. Today, before a single match kicks off, an algorithm has already run through millions of possible outcomes. During the game, the lines shift every few seconds. By the time the final whistle blows, millions of transactions have already been completed around the world. FIFA keeps tightening its anti-corruption measures. Police forces around the world keep cracking down on underground betting. Interpol, Europol, and national law enforcement agencies keep cooperating on cross-border match fixing and illegal betting investigations. Over the past decade or so, hundreds of players, referees, agents, and fixers have been arrested, banned, or convicted. And at the exact same time, new platforms keep launching. New agents keep signing on. New betting sites keep coming back online. Police can shut down a website. What they can't shut down is demand. Football isn't going to stop, and gambling isn't going to stop either. As long as there's someone out there who believes they can beat the odds, this business isn't going anywhere. What's really worth sitting with here isn't just the betting, and it isn't just the fixing. It's the broader transformation happening across the entire football industry. As more and more clubs take on betting sponsorships, as stadium billboards start displaying live odds, as social media feeds fill up with betting tips, gambling has quietly become part of the experience of simply watching a match. The lines between sport, entertainment, and finance keep getting blurrier. For a lot of young fans today, the first app they download might not be a football game. It might be a betting app. The first thing they check might not be the starting lineup. It might be the live odds. Football hasn't changed its rules, but the way we watch it has already changed completely. And maybe the real danger, going forward, isn't that more matches get fixed. It's that fewer and fewer people even notice they're gambling at all. Because a truly mature system was never designed to make you feel like you walked into a casino. It's designed to make you feel like you just found a new way to watch the game. Back to where we started. December 18, 2022. The World Cup final in Qatar. Messi finally lifts the trophy. Fireworks light up Lusail Stadium. The whole world is celebrating a night that belongs to football. The cameras capture the champion. They capture the tears. They capture history in the making. But outside the frame of that camera, another match has already ended. The bookmakers are settling the odds. The agents are counting their profits. Underground money is already flowing into new accounts. Somewhere, someone just won the honor of a lifetime. Somewhere else, someone just lost their entire savings. And somewhere in between, a handful of people just made more money than the champion's prize fund. And not one of them ever set foot on the pitch. The World Cup will end eventually. The final whistle always blows. Champions get written into history. Records get broken, again and again. But the machine running quietly underneath the sport doesn't stop for any single match. There's always another league, another Euros, another World Cup. New bettors will show up. New lines will open. New money will keep moving. And the real winners will still be sitting somewhere you can't see them, waiting for the next kickoff. Because to them, football was never 90 minutes. It's a business that never has a final whistle.